host, Angela Kennecke. I have another amazing interview from the National Bereaved Parents Conference held in St. Louis this summer. Beth DeAngelo is an incredibly deep and spiritual person in spite of, or perhaps because of, the loss of one of her 3 children.
I truly thought that my body was going to implode on me. I did not know how I was going to survive. Almost like in my DNA, I knew that I would survive this. I just didn't know how. There were times I didn't want to.
Beth is finding purpose and meaning after the loss of her 19-year-old son, Sean. She is the co-founder of Healing Through Hope, a nonprofit that helps people cope with loss. I was lucky enough to take part in one of her healing sound baths at the conference, which uses Tibetan bowls and other sound makers, along with meditation, to help people heal. In this episode, Beth shares where she gets her strength and how she believes her son continues to guide her. Well, Beth, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It has been a pleasure to get to know you, to hear you speak, and to take part in your sound bath, your sound healing that you have. I am just so fascinated by all of the ways that you have incorporated your own healing to help others. And I want to first start off by talking about the loss of your son, Sean, who was 19 when he was killed. Tell me a little bit about Sean and what happened.
I have an older son, 21 months older, and I had flown them to the Big Island of Hawaii to spend Christmas with me in 2003, put them on an airplane in 2004 to go back to their college towns. And my birthday, February 20th, Sean called me to wish me a happy birthday and tell me how much he loved me. Interesting, he talked about understanding why I left his dad, divorced his dad, and he completely understood that. And it was just an odd that a 19-year-old, 6'4" husky boy would be that sensitive on my birthday. And he went on to share with me that he was going to go ice fishing with the rugby team the next day. So I got a phone call the next day about 9:20 Hawaii time, which was after midnight in Colorado time, and that was from my first husband, Sean's dad, saying that there had been an accident and Sean's gone. He lost control on black ice on an inside curve outside of Durango, Colorado, and hit a Jeep Cherokee head-on, and he died instantly. There was an injury to the driver in the first car, but as Sean's car was spinning out, a second car, an elderly couple, T-boned him on the driver's side. There were 5 injuries, 5 survivors, and 1 fatality, and the fatality was mine.
I mean, you've done so much and you've worked so hard on your spirituality, your coping, all of this. I can see that just by the few days that I've gotten to know you. How did you get from the point, of losing your son, and I'm sure the horrible devastation that you felt, to where you are today? Your life has been such a journey.
It goes first by saying that I didn't think I would survive that first year. I truly thought that my body was going to implode on me. I did not know how I was going to survive, but there was an instinctual, and I call it a knowing, that I, almost like in my DNA, I knew that I would survive this. I just didn't know how. There were times I didn't want to. There was something that came to me without any word or verbiage, and it was just this emotion, grow hope, Mom. And I kept writing down, grow hope, grow hope. What is grow hope? Okay, grow is an action word. Hope, I think, is an action word. And then I kept hearing Mom. So I just adopted, is that something Sean's trying to tell me? Is grow hope, Mom? And I had a 3-year-old son at that time when Sean died. And I just knew that I could not leave this little boy only knowing his mother's sorrow and his mother's tears. So I had to find a way to have my own private grief in my own private time, and then be 100% a mother to another person. Should I pass before Giovanni reached maturity, I wanted to leave him a legacy of what does hope and navigating through uncharted waters feel like without traumatizing him. So I just kept looking at lights. I kept looking at the stars. I kept looking at the mysteries that were outside of myself. And Sean brought me people. it would be the uncanniest people that would show up in my life. And it was like, isn't this interesting that this person's having this conversation with me? And it's something that was said at a recent conference that I already knew what devastation is. I already knew what my rock bottom was, and that was the phone call that my son passed, that I really adopted this philosophy that there's nothing that life can throw at me that can take me down. I really practice on being fearless.
What do you think it was inside of you that allowed you to do that? Because many people can't do that or aren't able to.
I'm not sure if they can't or they're not able to. I think that they just, let me rephrase this. We just come in to our events of our life with a backstory from ever since we could remember. And it's all of our life experiences that feed into our perspective at any given situation or point. I was very fortunate to have a mother, a single mom that raised us, that really was open and honest, a Methodist upbringing, but we learned, by rabbis and by Buddhists, and it was really an awareness of everything is in a unity and as one. And I have this thing that I've always, even as a little girl, as early as 18 months, I always knew that things were going to work out, even if it wasn't comfortable. But there was a invisible navigational system that I now have a language for it, and it's called my inner knowing, my inner intuition.
Most people would say you lose a child, life is not working out, things are not working out, right? And that incredible amount of trust that you have, I just think that's amazing.
I don't know where it comes from, and I've learned that I don't need to know where it comes from. It's just ever present. And I've come to acknowledge this calm and this peacefulness. And it's not that I'm woo-woo, but I'm a scientific woo-woo. I am very grounded, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to explore and read words and read concepts and be in the presence of things that I don't agree with. Trying to find in my toolbox what's already there and what do I need to pull out and what do I need to throw out. I don't know how some people aren't at the same place I am. And I don't believe people get stuck. I hate the concept of she must be stuck, he must be stuck, because stuck, I think we're always in constant flow. But the metaphor on a river, you have a small trickle and then it comes into white water and then all of a sudden the river's scared because there's a big ocean and it ebb and flows. So I use the water metaphor a lot on sometimes it's wicked water. It's winter water. You don't go out and paddleboard on that. And sometimes it's flat and it's gorgeous, but still the mysteries below the surface are still there. It's just the surface current that can be very dramatic. And so maybe I intuitively slip under the water to try to where the calmer part is.
And sound therapy. How did you get into sound therapy? Tell me about that. I know these crystal bowls are, very expensive and break easily and all of that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit about how you were introduced to it and how you became trained in it.
It's actually, I call it a sound journey. Therapy is more of a therapeutic title, and I'm careful not to say I'm a therapist, but I am a practitioner in sound healing, sound vibration. We call ours sound journey. So how I got started with this, music has always been an emotional go-to for me, especially percussion and especially celestial music. But it's not a glamorous story. Someone was supposed to show up at the resort that I used to work with in Hawaii and to do a sound bath, and she had a friend that had just gone into hospice, so she canceled at me at the last minute. And the place that I worked, you don't have cancellations. The show has to go on. So I went on Dr. Google and I found a local person who had a gong and had some Himalayan sound bowls and paid her 3 times the amount that we would have normally just to have a warm body and do something for this event. And I attended it, and I was inspired by what I was witnessing, but also going, oh, I would have done this and that, not in judgment, but it really opened up a big, huge interest of mine. So I bought my first crystal heart chakra bowl and just started playing with that. And by nature, I'm a Pilates and yoga instructor, so I started bringing my one bowl into my clients, and I started doing the vibration. And people were saying, "You should do a sound bath." And one by one, I started collecting, and then it got to be kind of a feverish pitch that I was ordering my gongs and gong stands and drums and Himalayan singing bowls, rain sticks, ocean drum, and now. My partner and I, we have all the chakra energy systems in our bowls and in our Himalayan sound bowls. And I put together a beautiful ritual of bringing sound healing. And I have a lot of people who come in and they have nothing. They don't know what to expect. And they walk away going, "What did you just do to me?"
I had the privilege of just sitting through one of your sessions. And it was unlike, I've been to one other sound bath before, and it was unlike anything else I'd ever experienced. Some of the sounds that you use and the way that you use them, it was really cool. I felt very relaxed. I felt a lot of tingling and energy in my feet for some reason. I don't know why. Tell me a little bit about how the sound bath works and what it's supposed to do.
Everything that has a sound has a vibration. Organs in our body, cells, the rhythm of our heartbeat, the pulsing of the blood pressure going through our ventricle system. Each organ is, on medical terms, if you went and had an ultrasound, there's different frequencies on certain places in our body that the medical world will use. In acupuncture, there's meridians, there's pulses, not just in our wrists and in our jugular. What it does is, in the central nervous system, there's the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming effect, and then there's the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, the emergency. Oh my gosh, my hair's on fire. Even if it's a false narrative, the brain does not know always what is a true emergency and what is just emotional stress. It's listening to breath, it's listening to heartbeat, everything in our body. So what the sound vibration does on these different frequencies and different levels is give you an opportunity to lay on your back, close your eyes, breathe, and not just listen to the sounds with your ears, but allow the sounds, even if the skeptic is there, the sounds wash over your body and adhere to the places that it recognizes. So if I'm using the throat chakra sound bowl, that's going to be your voice box. It's going to be in your throat, your communication and how you relate to people through verbal and nonverbal. If you're having squeamish gut, the solar plexus, a lot of people going through grief and trauma have upset stomachs. Their intestines are kind of knotted up, nauseous. They don't feel good. They don't want to eat. That's a solar plexus. So what we're trying to do is calm the gut reaction and tame it down a little bit so it can go back to homeostasis, to a normal, balanced, somewhat of a balanced status. I don't know of anybody that has gone through a sound journey that has been more wired. It is the opposite. It gives you an opportunity to just come down off the cliff.
It helps you chill out without mind altering, substances, right? It helps you chill out. So you just did this with a group of grieving parents. What kind of feedback did you get?
Two that really stood out. A gentleman came a little bit later in class, and then after when we were finishing, he said, "I just want to say something. Last year when you did this, Beth," and he got very emotional. He said, "I was able to see my son. I was able to open my heart wide enough, and that has kept me alive this entire year." And that was very powerful for everyone to hear, but I gave it back to him, and I said, "It was your journey. You're the one that stayed open and was curious, and I believe that you allowed your son to have that space, that frequency, for you to find him and him to meet with you." Another woman came up, and she was our guest speaker last night, and teary-eyed, and she said, that was exactly what I needed to experience at the exact same time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Another woman said, is it over? No, I don't want to, when I had everyone sit up, she goes, I don't want this to stop.
What I like about it is I can just lay there. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to put my hands in a certain position, if like meditation, when you're a meditator or you do yoga, there's certain things you have to do, right? Or you're supposed to do. Maybe you don't have to. But with this, you can just lay there, and it's a very passive, I guess, way of doing something.
It's to give yourself an opportunity to just be still. And so what we did was a 45-minute sound journey. I've done them as long as 75 minutes. I do add outside music just for depth, but today we did a temple dancers, which is a very tribal, upbeat, and what I wanted to do was to create a sense of joy and celebration and almost an indigenous feel. So Bobby and I got our personal drums, and we accompanied the music with that. But it's very passive. People walk in, I don't know, I may fall asleep, and I go, you may, but here's the science. You're giving your body permission. You're giving your emotional field permission to just stand down and just be without having any responsibility to do a thing.
I know there are a lot of recordings of Tibetan bowls out there. Is it as effective to, let's say you don't have access to somebody who does sound baths. Is it effective to go on YouTube and find a Tibetan bowl video and listen to that? Is that as effective?
I would say it's going to be as effective, but I would ask that if an individual has, if they can find one that has binaural beats and headphones where you can have the sound traveling from one ear to the other and have that practice of not just hearing it, but breathing the sound down into your body, which is kind of a mind-body connection because we don't actually breathe sound, but to have that image, very, very, very effective. I have done that often before I drift off to sleep, or if I'm going to be doing a meditation, is I will find a Tibetan bowl or sound bowls and put on earphones.
Your nonprofit is called Healing Through Hope. Tell me a little bit about that.
Healing Through Hope went through a little metamorphosis just recently, and we changed the name to Healing Through Hope U, taking a university concept. It started out with just being a online Zoom outreach for parents who have lost a child or children, and it was only for child loss. And then we had many people saying, I haven't had a child die, but I really like your message. So we created a wingman called Soul Journey. And then the metamorphosis, we decided to pull in Soul Journey and just have that be our main room in this university concept. So we have breakout rooms of child loss only. And then everyone who has had any kind of trauma or disappointment or shift in their life are welcome to come to our monthly meetings where we have a topic. Online, it's all online. We don't have anything in person. And this kind of came out pre-COVID, but it really benefited all of us when we went into isolation during 2020, 2021, coming through the COVID pandemic. And basically what we are here is to support people where they are. We always have in our main group, Healing Through Hope U, we have a topic or a series that we run with. And it is filled with nothing but hope and light without pouring pink paint over it. You know what that means, pouring pink paint? Someone says, I'm really hurting and I don't know how to get through this. And an example of pouring pink paint you're a winner, you got it, you can just, and it's almost like taking away their authentic vulnerability of saying, I'm hurting, by trying to cheer them up, and be the cheerleader. So we run it like a circle way, where everyone is in the indigenous tribes in a circle. We all hold the rim of the container equally, and there's a host, a guardian, and we pass a talking stick. So on Zoom, it's sometimes it's a small group, it's a bigger group, and we go around the circle, or we have just unmute yourself if you'd like to share. and we keep it into the topic at hand. So if we're doing a series on the hero's journey, or if we're doing metaphorically the journey of the Wizard of Oz characters, or Lamp in the Darkness, Jack Kornfield's work, or if we're going to be doing a Brene Brown philosophical taming vulnerability and explaining that vulnerability is about dropping shields and about dropping your masks. We try to keep it in that container of that thought so we don't go on a tangent elsewhere. But we also have sharing circles or coffee, let's call it coffee houses, where it's just a drop in. It'll be a pop-up sharing circle that either Bobby Morton or I will say we're going to be meeting on Monday at 11 o'clock if anyone wants to drop in. It's just a check-in, and those are just check-ins. Okay, how's everyone doing today?
So what you're offering people is a connection, no matter where they're at.
No matter where they are. We meet people where they are, and we invite them to be where they are. So people who are we all learn from each other's experiences. And it's just what it is. It's healing through hope. It's shining a light out there that, my story was similar to hers. I never thought of it that way. Maybe I need to reframe the words I'm using.
My close from my podcast for the first couple of years was I believe we can all learn from each other. I really do believe that. I've learned so much from you already. You have your own personal creed. Can you read that to me?
Absolutely. And I don't.
How'd you come up with this?
I didn't come up with it. I found it, and I don't know where I found it. It's just something I've always had. It's inside of my own personal drum that I created. I wish I knew. If anyone knows when I read this, please get a hold of Angela so she can get a hold of me. But it truly was a life preserver at the very beginning, and it's my personal mantra. Never underestimate the power of giving. It shines like a beacon throughout humanity. It cuts through the oceans that divide us and brightens the lives of all it touches. One of life's greatest laws is you cannot hold a torch to light another's path without brightening your own as well.
Very beautiful. I love that too. I have no idea who wrote that either, but maybe somebody listening will know, and it's really, really pretty. What's next for you?
Like right now, or in the future, or on the bigger picture. Expanding, Healing Through Hope U in person at public venues in Colorado is taking our sound journey, doing healing yoga with sound journey, having women's empowerment workshops, having men circles, and taking it from keeping the Zoom, because that's our base, but really expanding as creators to bring the community into the consciousness of everyone has suffered some kind of a disappointment. That's on the community side. On the personal side is I am dragging my feet, but at least I'm moving slowly, is to put together a publication, a book. It's going to not be a chapter book. It's going to be more of you open it up, and it's going to be my quotes that I came up with that were channeled by my son, and I'm going to be putting Dear Mom letters in it.
I believe our relationship with our children continues after death, and I know you lost Sean in 2004. What is your relationship like with him today?
He's standing right next to me on my left side. He is always on my left side. I see his smile. I feel his smile. He had a quirky sense of humor. So a while back, I just spiritually grabbed him, emotionally grabbed him, and said, your life changed the moment my life changed. We're in this together. You're not abandoning me. So I have just locked on to he has to do this work with me, whether he likes it or not. And my relationship with him is tight. It always was. I love all three of my sons, but he was really, as an infant, was the child of my heart. To get that, I love you, happy birthday, the day before he left was, I believe, one of his attempts to leave me with something very strong and something very connected, because he was going to be going on his journey, his adventure outside of his permission slip by his mother.
What do you think happens after we die?
I love that question. What do I think happens after I no longer breathe? I believe I'll still exist. I believe that Sean still exists. That's on his granite stone. I still exist. I don't believe I believe science, that you cannot destroy energy. It just changes. I believe that I'm going to be part of the light, the air, the breeze. I'm going to be part of the rain. I'm going to be part of the elements. I'm going to be part of the higher consciousness. I'm going to be part of the energy for the individuals who are seeking to find a calmness. I'm hoping that if and what is asking me to do, to come back again or to be of service to help the overall consciousness, universal, I don't even have words for it. I feel that I'm going to raise my hand and say, put me in. I want to be part of something beautiful and bigger. And if I can't accomplish it physically on this plane, I believe that I'm going to continue doing it on the next part of my journey.
It's so hard as human beings for us to let go of our personalities or the personalities of those that we lost. And we want to think those personalities carry on forever. But when you're talking about, it's almost Buddhist theory, when you're talking about, being part of the rain or the wind, do you think we carry on as personalities, or do you think that changes?
Oh, goodness. You put me on the spot there. I think our personality is magnified as humans on this solid level. I think the personality that I have, the personality that you have, the personality that other people have, we all have the same. It's just how it manifests in where we are at this point. I had a reading once, and I was thinking to myself, Sean is in my breath. I didn't say this out loud, that I feel like I'm breathing for the both of us, that I'm breathing in him and I'm breathing out, and it's a mixture, kind of a combination. And I had this reading, and this person said, when you stand outside, can you feel the breeze? Can you feel Sean in the air? And I said, yes. I live in Hawaii, and when a breeze comes up, I just open up my arms and I close my eyes, and I feel like the air is breathing, and it's my son. Or I just imagine that because it soothes my heart. And she said, he doesn't go around you in the breeze. He goes through you. He is your breath. And I thought that's exactly what I was thinking before, that he is my breath. We're breathing together.
That's beautiful. And on that note, I think we'll end the podcast. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate this time. I love talking scientific woo-woo.
Scientific woo. Maybe that'll be the title of the podcast. That's a very fun term. Thank you so much, Beth. I'll bring you another interview from the Bereaved Parents Conference next week. Until then, check out other episodes of the podcast and read my blog on our website, emilyshope.foundation. If you like what you're hearing, please consider giving us a positive review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Until next time, wishing you faith, hope, and courage.